Hey, before we get started, I wanted to share a project that we're working on as a community, as kind of a podcast at Folding at Home. Many of you are aware of that. If you go to foldingathome.org, we did projects like this, or we've been doing projects like this maybe over the last 20 years. With the coronavirus and all that's going on with it, Folding at Home has really kind of turned their processing engines on this problem for a solution. We thought it'd be fun to join in. So over at Folding at Home, we've created a Home Gadget Geeks team. If you join that team, I'll show you the team there. If you join that team, our number is 243-306. And we got some folks that have joined already. They already are the fastest supercomputer in the world right now and are taking resources and your help. If you want to join us, no pressure, but maybe you did some mining, maybe you got a GPU, spare GPU that's sitting around, and you can help us out. We'd love to have you join us. Foldingathome.org, join team 243-306, and thanks for listening to Home Gadget Geeks. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 438, recorded on March 26th, 2020. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studio here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Of course, Mike, the world's over, so weather doesn't matter, right?
I haven't been outside in a week. My security cameras are the only way that I have seen the outside world.
Dave McCabe is with us. Dave, are you getting out in this during this emergency time?
It's finally starting to get nice, and we've been just walking like crazy, and I'm finally starting to work in the yard, so I almost feel normal.
You on Reset, your podcast, you've been talking about getting the lawn temperature up. Are you really out there measuring the temperature of your dirt?
She might hear. I take the meat thermometer out of the kitchen and shove it in the grass.
Oh, got to get it, because you're measuring it to put down the you're putting down some what are you putting down?
I mean, for you guys, it's pre-emergent.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, you've become a big lawn nerd, haven't you?
I'm super lawn nerd. I don't. It's amazing what happens when someone overcharges you for a service, and you're like, wait a minute, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, are you a Scott's guy, or do you use you buy your own chemicals and mix them? You got big gloves that you're putting.
I do everything by the book. I do it all myself. So yes, and yes, I do have a stock of N95 masks.
Oh, nice
for my PPE.
Yes. Well, yeah. Oh, but that's just so you don't inhale the chemicals.
Correct.
Not the current pandemic that's going on. Well, we'll remind everyone to take advantage of the full show notes, world-class show notes, as I like to say, out there at the AverageGuy.tv. In this case, the AverageGuy.tv/HGG438. I almost gave us too many. 438 will get you there as well. Don't forget, you can join us live on the mobile app every week if you're traveling, and who isn't at this time. But if you happen to be someplace where you want to stream it, you can download the app, stream, listen to Home Gadget Geeks on the road, or even in the basement if you want to. HomeGadgetGeeks.com, Android and iPhone, both available for you. Appreciate our Patreon subscribers, which this right now is super important. So Patreon, thank you. Thank you, everybody who donates to this. Thank you. I can't tell you, it's an interesting time, and so we appreciate your sponsorship of the show. You heard from him just a second ago, but Dave McCabe from Reset, the podcast, is here. Dave, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. As you can tell, if you're watching the video, I am built for radio now, because you guys all look wonderful. You're well lit, and I'm just like throwing lights on my wall, trying to get things fixed, and I can't get it done. But
Dave, do you ever miss live? I mean, you come on with us twice a year and so that, but do you miss coming? We did live together for so long. Do you miss it?
I do and I don't. I like being on my own schedule and doing my own thing when I want to do it, when I can do it. But I do miss a good back and forth, with you guys, with my old guys, Darren and John on Surface Geeks. I miss that a lot. So it's different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different.
I've watched you go through this experiment, and for a while I thought, well, he'll do that for a while and then he'll come flying back to live. And so far, no, you've kind of locked in your family situation. It really works better for you not to have the pressure, I think, of the weekly live, everything that brings. You can kind of produce it when you want in your time. I
Right.
think, right? Is that right?
It is. It's one thing after another. And I hate to sound like that broken record, but Jim, I mean, you told me, I don't remember what show it was, but he's like, you have 2 babies at home right now. It's pretty easy. Feed them, put them to bed. Nothing easier than that. But when they get older, oh my God, chasing them around like crazy. I mean, now, I don't have to look far for them, but it was sports, different things going on. There's birthdays, there's sleepovers. One kid broke his foot, and it's taking him to school, picking him up, and it's a constant madhouse with the kids. So
no, and they need that attention. Mike, your kids you're a 5, 6 years behind Dave, I think, with your kids, maybe even a little bit more. You're in that same boat, right? I mean, this works for you just because you can show up, which is great. Works for me because I need a regular co-host in what we're doing. So let me ask both of you in this. Of course, as this March 26th recording, we're in the middle of this pandemic, right? This global pandemic that's going on. And we're here in the United States, we're challenged. We've been home. Most of us have been home at least a week. For us too, Dave, I think you're in that category too, right? We're on week 2. Mike, how's it going? And are the kids, what kind of tech are the kids? How are you using tech to keep the kids busy?
I mean, Netflix is the babysitter right now. Luckily, Hannah's had some days off in here where she's been able to be home. But I mean, I've got to work from home, and most of my day is on conference calls. And she works at the hospital, so she's there. There's really nothing we can do. Those 2 boys, I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and both boys who love to wrestle and beat each other up and get into a bunch of trouble. Like, you just can't take your eyes off them for a second, or else they're doing something. And so, I mean, I joke that they probably have watched more than they should. But the hard part is my kids are still too young to, you can't put like a Nintendo Switch in front of them and be like, here, play a video game, right? I can't send them out in the yard by themselves, right? Usually I'd be like, go play football or go kick the ball around. You can't do that even. So I feel like 2 and 3 is super difficult for a situation like this because they're old enough to be running around causing chaos, but not old enough to go sit and do something. Emmett will sit and do a puzzle for a while until his younger brother comes and knocks it on the ground, right? So, but I am using my security cameras a lot more. Actually, just upgraded one of my cameras because my front door camera went out. I learned the lesson. Don't buy cheap cameras on Amazon. They might last for a year, but they will eventually go out. So with an Amcrest camera, but using those, especially for when they're outside and I do need to run back inside real quick, I pop that up and at least I can have a live view all around the house of what they're doing in the backyard. But other than that, my kids are just almost too young to use tech on, besides like monitoring and popping up a movie for them. Plex has been a lifesaver, having all of their shows and movies just loaded up, and Emmett's almost got it down to a science on how he can use it. He knows how to run the remote, so he can usually pick the next episode if he really needs to. So that's been a total lifesaver.
Dave, I know because I've been at your house. I know your kids really well. The iPad has been a battle for you guys. Is now that they're home, school. This is weird, right? This is unprecedented times. This isn't like summer. It's not like a snow day.
Yeah,
like
we're currently in e-learning.
Okay.
So the teachers are doing the best job that they can to provide work for these kids, but it's not 8 to 3. Right? When they're at school, they're captured. It's 8 to 3. And they're getting up at their normal time. These kids are done in 1 hour, maybe 2 hours time. And the rest of that is free. So, I mean, it's hard to keep them off the iPad. It's hard to keep them off the Xbox. We try to go out and walk, do some exercise. We're going to hopefully start with some yard games maybe and do some things. It's been really wet here too, so you almost can't even step on the grass without messing yourself up. So yeah, it's a crazy time. And Mike, I feel for you because those ages, I mean, man, they're yanking on a lamp cord at one moment, and then the next moment they're pulling the TV on their head. You got to watch them 24/7. It's the little babies or you can just roll them on the floor and they don't move. That's perfect, for this kind of
Exactly.
time frame. But yeah, those guys, it's amazing how little boys don't kill themselves.
I'm shocked. I'm
Yeah.
honestly shocked at this point too, seeing the stuff they do and the things they launch themselves off on, like
Right. That's
no
just our
fear
job.
in their mind.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah. And
That's-
it's my job to make sure they don't. Well, I'm also trying to be on a call.
Right.
There was only been once this, like from the past, where I thought I was on mute and I didn't. And I told one to stop hitting the other one. Like, oh, is boys fighting at home? Like, oh, sorry. Yep. Got the kids home with me.
Being on the other side, no kids. Well, my 21-year-old daughter's here, but she's easy. She's introverted.
If you're
so
telling
she
her to
stays-
stop biting things, there might be,
like, well, I kind of come out of your room every once in a while. That's kind of what I'm, I say to her. But it's you guys have your hands full. The chat room does as well. Tim W says iPad for learning and Nintendo Switch for the win. And then Alex says, his kids have been using theirs a lot as well, except trying to keep my son on task with doing his schoolwork. Right. This is where it's really different than a snow day. Like snow days, we just kind of basically cancel school, right? You're like, okay, you can play all day. Where now the schools are really trying to make an attempt. Dave, you mentioned, you're trying to do some e-learning with the kids. I was talking earlier, I think this weekend or another show, about how like we have prepared for this moment with where we work for the last 3 to 5 years. And not everybody was ready, but I think more were ready than not in this. Our schools are not, though. Like this is, and I don't know, in the district you're in, Dave, do you feel like they were ready to go full bore e-learning? Do you feel like that's going well?
Not a full day. I don't know if anyone was. I mean,
Yeah.
you give me a school across the country that's ready to do this across the board.
Right.
We've been going e-learning 2 weeks, and the second week we finally gone into some Zoom conferences. They're getting the conference calling going.
Yep.
Things are starting to ramping up.
Yeah.
But we also moved from the first week we did 5 days of e-learning, and now we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of e-learning, and they're off right now. We do not go back to e-learning until April 14th.
Oh, wow. So is it kind of a spring break? Is that what they're trying to?
It's a mix of, the governor has granted the state of Indiana some flex days that they can use, and does not count against that school year, does not have to be made up. And he's also levied all of the standardized testings, done.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of contemplating, we may go out to, May 1 and this thing may be done. I don't know, but we got 2 weeks.
It's going to go fast. It's going to go fast.
Sure?
Like April will be gone before you know it. Yeah. Well, maybe not.
I mean, I'm kind of adhering to the rules, and I know a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people aren't being asked to, but I haven't left the house for 10 days.
Yeah.
Physically.
Right.
I mean, I've walked. I've been on the nature trail around the neighborhood, and I've been outside. Today I worked for 4 hours straight, which is wonderful. We have the weather to do so, but you can't go to places. You can't go to your church. You can't.
Right.
You can still go to the supermarket, but that's kind of a zoo.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering, I need a Lowe's run. If I could just go to Lowe's.
Oh yeah.
I might feel like a normal human being.
Yeah, I think you can, right?
I think I'm going to try it here soon.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. It's essential. That's what the governor says. It has to be essential. Yeah. So I'm going to call that essential.
Well, have you moved to, and Mike, I'll ask you the same question. Have you moved to app usage more now? So today I ordered on Tuesday, I ordered a bunch of groceries, and then I put it on the app and I said, I'll be there Thursday at 9. That was the opening I had. They had that I had too. So I pulled in the parking lot, called them, right? Said, hey, I'm here. And they're like, we'll be out in just a minute. And they came up and tapped on the car, and I opened up the trunk and they put the bags in my car. We had a little pleasantry from 6 feet away, right in the car, and we shut it. And I drove off. I'd put my credit card in advance. It was all taken care of. There was no signing anything, right? Amazon has gotten two or 3 weeks behind now on non-essentials, right? They're holding back. So what I thought for a while is, I'll just do my Amazon stuff. Well, okay, now 2 or 3 weeks shipping. Yeah, maybe not. Dave, have you found that your app usage, or are you using any apps differently or more during this time?
We are. Now, we technically took the bull by the horns and started this maybe 3-4 weeks ago, just knowing where this was headed. I don't know if you could see the writing on the wall, but we could. So we started shopping remotely. Sam's, if you're a Sam's member, you get free shipping. And I mean, we literally ordered a 50-pound bag of dog food, and it's the same amount of money as if you went into Sam's and brought it home yourself, and they drop it on your side porch. So the dogs can eat for a very long time. We have several of those, but we kind of replenished normally. And then, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago, I was tweeting from a store, just being silly, saying I'm stocking up on coffee and stuff. And it was normal back then. So we kind of stocked up early, but what we have been doing is if the restaurants have an app, we use it. If they don't, we Grubhub it, and those guys are good. We overtip and try to shop local. Sounds kind of corny, but that's what we're doing.
I heard a restaurant owner say, like, he was asked, or how are things? And he goes, this is the best Thursday I've had like in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And so their weekly tills are up. Alex has some advice for you, Dave. Break something around the house, so you have to go.
Oh, I don't have to break anything.
Mike, you've been using apps more? Taco Bell app, maybe?
Chipotle is free delivery right now.
Oh,
so if you use the Chipotle app, free delivery comes via Grubhub.
Great idea.
Super smart, because all of a sudden, like, I saw that, I'm like, oh, so I've been defaulting to Chipotle a lot. Yeah, we've been using Grubhub, the Chipotle app, and Amazon, I did notice, was a few days behind. Like, for example, the security camera came a few days later than it would, but other things haven't been too bad. I was just joking that I was looking at a 1660 on Amazon. Now it says it would be here Sunday.
It's hit and miss.
It's not tomorrow, right?
It is hit or miss.
It definitely is hit or miss.
I think it depends where the warehouse is now to get it to you. Because I ordered a hygrometer because I had a necessity to measure the humidity inside another cigar humidor, and I ordered that. It was here 2 days later. So that I thought, because I ordered and I thought, if it takes a week, that's fine, not a big deal. Boom, it's here 2 days. So some things are going fast, some things are going slow. I think it's kind of availability in the warehouse and what's closest to you. I think we're using that Baker's app. Baker's is our grocery store here, and we're finding that super convenient. Walmart has also gone free shipping during this time on just about everything, and so you can do that. The problem is some of the things like, toilet paper, which has been hard to find. I finally found some this morning. That seems to be coming back, at least here in the United States. Sorry, UK. You guys are a week behind us in the UK. So you're in for an interesting week as that goes. But I too have been finding as many places where I can just pick up, right, are better. Now, there are restaurants. We got some local. Dave, I'm sure you guys have some local ones that never had an app. They were dine in. They never had an app. Have you tried to also just call in? I mean, we old school called Roma's, our favorite Italian place, ordered, and the owner brought it out to us. Mm-hmm. Have you done anything where you've gone to a typical dine in and gotten carry out?
We did. We did in the beginning when the pizza places were shutting down, and we just we should have had pizza last week. We should have had pizza last week.
We should stockpile pizza.
So, yeah, we went to a pizza place, and it was a local, call it in. It's like, okay, we'll have that ready for you. And it was the weirdest thing, being the only person in the store. I mean, the tables, the lights are down, and just the cashier and you hear someone in the kitchen clinking in the back. It's just quiet. It's like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah. I was wondering too, how many years would we have to go back before this was a much bigger hassle for all of us than it is today? Because you just asked us kind of what apps. And for me, I started thinking of, well, there's a lot of apps I use every day. I guess they're more effective now, right? Like, Jimmy John's delivery, I'm thinking of even just communication apps, right? Like Teams for work, things that are just like video conferencing is so natural now for work. Grubhub, right? Uber Eats, all of this stuff, free delivery from just about anyone. Like, how many years do we have to go back before that was like, oh man, this would have been a way bigger deal had this big quarantine happened this many years ago, right?
Every
Probably not
decade
that
would
long
have,
ago.
yeah, every decade would have presented itself with new and individual problems.
Oh,
Sure.
for sure. I mean, for
Yeah.
sure a decade, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if this was 2009, 2010, I mean, video wasn't great
Mm-mm.
back then. There was no great video conferencing apps.
Would have been faxing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And like ordering stuff. Cause I mean, my wife and I, we use Hy-Vee Aisles, or whatever it's called now, the online delivery for Hy-Vee. Same thing. And we just use that normally in our everyday life, but it's better now.
Well, what's been interesting is the grocery stores have started hiring the food service people to come in to fill orders for the grocery store. So when I went to Baker's today, there was normally they send one person out with the order. It was only 4 bags, but she was training young gal. I'm sure it was somebody who'd come out of the food service that they've lost their job. But hopefully we can make that transition pretty quick and then make it back, right? Eventually this will be done and we'll get back to some, I don't know where it's going to go, but some normality to it. But it is interesting. I think we've got a journey here, Dave. You have, if you listen to Reset, I know you've been monkeying around with a gaming build that you lost control of. But for folks who have kids home, is it realistic to think maybe the kids didn't have a gaming rig, but now that they're home and they want a game, Mike, you're building, you've done some budget builds. Do we still live in a day? You know, we had the guys on, we had Bob and Ryan on from, you know, they build these monster gaming rigs that are, you know, $2,000.
Yeah.
Can the average guy, Dave, still build a gaming rig for $500 and get for his kids? Or, you know, what's been your experience?
I think so. I definitely think so. There's different stages of the gaming build, right? It's, you know, the entry level, the mid level, and then just water cool it all and freak it out, right? But you can still do some good budget parts. You can still get motherboards for $75. You can still get a CPU for $99. You can still get 8 gigs of RAM for $40 and an SSD. You don't need a 1 terabyte Samsung. You just need whatever's on sale for $30 and get a 240, a 250.
I think you posted a 500 gig on Twitter the other day. That was $50 maybe So that would
have been a great second drive, right?
Right.
And on the PC, first of all, I would suggest just go console. These consoles are so cheap, and to have a great, I mean, the experience right now, I would wait. Actually, that's hard because the new console, the new Pro consoles come out this holiday season. I'm super excited, by the way. But on the PC side, the only thing you're going up in is resolution, really, at this point. I mean, what did we decide mine was? $375, $400 build. Got a 1060 in there, an i7 3770, really old CPU, really old motherboard. This thing plays all the games. Yeah, only at 1080p, 60 frames per second. That is more than enough for me, right? I do not need to be to 4K gaming. I don't need super high frame rates, and neither do your kids, like your little kids, to be perfectly honest, right? Like, by all means, if you want the better ones, go for it. And it will be a way better experience. But most people only have a 1080p monitor anyway. So especially when you add up the cost just to have a 4K gaming experience, or even a 1440p or a 120 hertz, things like that, that's where your price drastically goes up. But a 1060 graphics card is still fantastic for 1080p gaming today.
Very true. My young one has a 1060 3 gig. I mean, it's just
works
entry
great.
level. It works fine. I mean, how much does Roblox need, or whatever that game is, right?
Well, and most of the time, all they want to do is be able to play the game their friends are playing, right?
Yes.
And you can play Fortnite, you can play Apex, Call of Duty on PC runs great. I run it all. I've been testing it, playing it, runs perfectly smooth. All they want to do is to be included. That's what I found out about kids. It's the way I was as a kid. And yeah, they might complain like, oh man, like it's not 4K or whatever. They'll get over that within 2 minutes when they're on the headset gaming with their
kids
friends.
Don't even know what 4K is.
They won't even exactly. So there's no point going out and buying the $1,000 gaming PC unless they are a real. I mean, this is their thing, right? Yeah. We spend that much on sports for kids that are really into sports. So I mean, if it's their thing and they know it, then they're getting really good. But yeah, you can definitely get away with a cheaper build.
Yeah, and I never thought my 10-year-old, my my now teenager is an Xbox gamer, and he loves it. And so the 10-year-old gravitated towards the PC. And I had a PC just sitting on the side, hooked up to an old cruddy monitor. And it's got such old parts. It has my Windows Home Server 2011 Veil beta parts. So we're
Wow.
talking
Yeah.
really old.
It's 10 years old.
Really
at least.
old.
Yeah.
You know, some of the USB ports don't work, and it's just an awful machine, and it runs Steam games perfectly. And that's all he needs. Is he's 10. He's playing, you know, building train tracks, and he's Robux, and he's doing all kinds of little games. And I try to keep him in Steam, and he's got a Steam account, and we give him Steam dollars, and he just goes to town. He finds something on YouTube that he really likes, and he builds these virtual worlds, and he's watches it grow. And so
yeah, so it's pretty doable. You know, do you, Dave, you're kind of the king of finding things. Mike, you do this as well. You finding things Facebook, in the Facebook marketplace. Is that still, are you watching that right now? And is it changing with the world changing at the moment? Is it getting better, getting worse? Have you noticed any difference?
Oh, it's definitely slowed down. I mean, my area is definitely slowed down. I have a couple of items out there that I need to just pull off, and I've got some eBay items I need to just pull down. But yeah, I used to get notifications all the time about, you know, new items that when you go into Facebook, it gives you a little number. There's new searches you have passed search for, and it's really slowing down. But I mean, honestly, I've really slowed down looking myself.
Sure.
I'm not gonna have a. How are you gonna do it?
Yeah,
Go meet a stranger and buy something? Just doesn't work.
Yeah, no. Mike, have you tried doing anything that way? You're big on that.
Yeah. eBay, right? That's where my last two I sold were. Well, and mainly because they were something that locally, like that was that ham radio, right? That was the big one. And locally, right, there weren't many people that were going to pay full price for that, but there definitely was on eBay. Great market for that. I was actually really surprised for what it sold for. Locally, though, no, I've pretty much swapped over. I've noticed no one's even made like messages, whereas Facebook Messenger or Facebook Marketplace, I'm sorry, has been my go-to place in the past, and there was just no interest, no comments. I was selling some monitors. You guys know I was still getting rid of some of the monitors when I replaced this whole setup, like last week and a half ago, and it was super slow on Facebook.
Schoonover, king of deals, says he was looking at building an entry gaming PC, but someone has this. What's CL? Craigslist there for $500. 960 CPU, 9th gen, NVIDIA GTX 1660, 6 gig, 16 gig of RAM, 256 NVMe, and a terabyte hard drive for $500.
Okay. If I Venmo you, Schoondoggy, will you go grab that from me at the local Craigslist? I wish that was here. I would go buy it today. That's a great. You could part that out and sell it for more than $500.
Well, and
1660 Ti, I paid $300 for, fellas.
And right now, I was just looking. They're $229 right now for the cheapest, but they're between $229 and about $350. So $229 right there for the 1660, and that, well, I guess not even the Ti. Sorry, that's probably more expensive. You probably are talking $300 for that.
Yeah.
An NVMe drive, right, and even just a 9th gen Intel CPU.
You always know the economy's bad when the local jewelry store says we buy diamonds and gold. You know, that's one of those. That's one of those signs. I'm kind of wondering if we may see that in the tech space too, like Kevin is showing us here, where, you know, this is causing some serious financial issues for folks, and you wonder if there will be some of this equipment that gets dumped in the market. This is the problem: is when this kind of stuff happens, you yourself are not in the most buying mood. Right, as you're thinking like, oh, okay, maybe I should save a few bucks, you know, and not go dropping $500. But I think if you're in the market for it now, I've been talking about this for a year. This summer was the summer I was buying a new car, and I'm kind of wondering. I don't know. This isn't necessarily tech or gadget related, but
we talked about that too, Jim.
Yeah.
Go in there and lowball a car dealer.
No, you got to kind of wonder.
I don't want to be mean, but
yeah, what are we doing? Well, in the last time we went through this, Dave, so 2008, there was a bunch of, you know, they did because people stopped buying those things. And we're still maybe a month or 2 or 3 from the dealerships are really starting to feel this right now. yet, and so those things may come up, but there may be some interesting deals coming ahead where if you just kind of wait and see what happens. I don't know. Do you guys what do you think from a car buy? Are we going to be back to where we were in 08 where there's huge incentives and they're doing basically everything they can to get that out for you?
I think they can hold on for a little bit longer, right?
Okay.
Like cars are used to holding on to inventory until the end of the year, right? We'll see the October specials, November, December, and see really how much inventory stuff. They have no incentive right now, I think, to start pushing those off the lot yet.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, I'm going to wait. Like, I want to make sure I have the income to pay for it before we just, we take another car on.
We were about to pull the trigger on a kitchen redo. And I'm so glad we're not in the middle of it. I mean, we literally could have been, another 2 weeks could have been with no island, no sink, no dishwasher, So we feel lucky in that regard.
Do you think it would have stopped if you would have started?
It's a good question. And we've asked that many, many times. But the thing is, Jim, it's another thing that you don't know. There's some people that are stopping and there's some that are not. Is that essential? Those contractors leave your home and go where? And talk to who? You don't know. Then they come back into your house. How comfortable are you with that?
I got you.
How comfortable are you when you have a kid with asthma? How comfortable are you? As myself, I'm a 50-year-old. I mean, I
know.
What would you rather do? Sit a month and mow your grass 7 times a week, or get something? Have contractors come into your house.
I get it. I was thinking from the supply and demand standpoint, but that makes sense.
I feel awful for some of these guys, like house cleaners. Some of these folks that they're literally like done. They've got to just sit and wait it out. So.
Well, I think this begs the question, and I think Dave, you might have put this on the bottom of the show notes, but I think it's a good question to ask now. So you said, was this you, Family Feud style? Did you put that in?
I was going to say, okay, we surveyed 100 people. Top 5 answers are on the board. Give me the most popular answer. Name the top 5 things you would have done prior to going on coronavirus lockdown. Now, you guys in the chat, come on, let me have them. Let's get the top 5 things you would have done before going on coronavirus lockdown. Mike?
Probably would have moved my mom into my house.
That's
she could watch the kids, right?
Yeah.
Move both my mom and dad, right? Like move them both up here. But and we could all been or us go down to their house in Kansas City, right? Like I'm working from home anyway. If
Joseph has it for
Hannah
me.
didn't have to go to the hospital, if Hannah didn't work at the hospital, we probably would have all hung out somewhere, right? Had a bunch of just community of people to watch kids, to hang out, to help with stuff, to cook, almost form a little commune amongst your little family, right?
True. I would have done that too. Yeah, Joseph's got it for me. Haircut. I would have got a haircut. Oh my God, would I have gotten a haircut?
I got so lucky. I got one because I was going on a trip. I was in California when this all happened, and I got one right before.
Mine was due yesterday or last Tuesday this week. So, Justin said more stock feed. He's got that. Mark also talks about getting a haircut. Alex mentions a vacation. Dave, I'm trying to think the haircut makes sense. That seems pretty small. I think I can't think of too many things for me right now. This has been a nice transition home. And
some guys are just eating this up. I'm home.
That's pretty great.
I would have bought 2 more dishwashers, honestly.
Oh,
yeah. That's all. We have a house guest. So we're a family of 5.
Yeah.
And when you're doing 3 square, I mean, the dishwasher is nonstop.
Yeah.
And I'm the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So
how's that coffee? How's your coffee thing doing?
I'm stocked. I'm pretty stocked.
Are you?
So I got some beans.
Yeah.
Got some beans.
Let me tell you a bean story really fast. So, as I'm home the very first Monday. So last week I might have told this story on the show, but I'll say it again. I got up my PC. I was locked out of my account at work, and I went right to work trying to get it unlocked. And then I finally had to go into work. So by 1:00, I just had a ripping headache and I couldn't figure out why. And it's because I hadn't drank any coffee. right? The
Oh,
whole morning I just gotten so busy I didn't drink any coffee. So the next Tuesday morning I thought, well, I got to get out the coffee maker. And so we have a little drip, and I was thinking, not drip, it's a perk. And it only comes out at Christmas time. Perk coffee is delicious. Like it's my favorite kind of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So it only comes out at Christmas. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm pulling out the perk machine. So I start going through the cabinets, and like, we don't have any beans. Like we haven't, it's usually Christmas time. So I go down to the pantry, and the beans that we had down there are from like 2019. That's when they expired. So they were probably 18 or earlier. Right?
I mean, if you're desperate,
Right.
I'd just start chewing on them.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
Start chewing on them.
smell the bag. Smell the bag.
Right.
Is it still okay? Oh yeah, still smells like coffee.
That's good.
Tear the bag open, pour it in the grinder, and just start grinding coffee up. It has been, to me, it's been a surprise. I've really enjoyed making a fresh pot of coffee because I drink a ton of coffee at work. I just go in there and fill it up. I've kind of enjoyed the process of making, I make a latte for myself first. While the other pot is brewing, I'm drinking that one. And then all morning I'm drinking that coffee. And I've kind of enjoyed the process of kind of discovering percolated coffee again.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, I thought you guys were doing like a latte or a cappuccino before you went to work.
well, I do. So I have an espresso. So
Okay.
I still make that. So I make the
You
Nespresso,
got a good shot
make a latte. Yeah,
in
I
your
make it. I
veins
make
while
it
you're
good.
waiting for the perk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm eating and drinking, and then I come down here, and while it's perking, I'm drinking that. And then that usually takes, about a half an hour to get through that latte. And then it's game on, just brewed coffee. But it's
That
so good.
Nespresso. Okay, so what is it? Because even on the regular cup of coffee, the head that it has on that cup of coffee
Yeah.
is so
Delish.
good. And I don't know
Yeah.
how it does that or what it does
They
differently.
spin it. They spin it
Is that
inside.
what it is?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
so good. I'm addicted to our Nespresso. Super addicted.
Yeah.
We go through way too many pods because I don't make a pot. I just have like 2 pods a day, 2 or 3 pods a day. Those get expensive.
Yeah. Andrew wants to know, is that my pre-coffee coffee?
Yes.
And yes.
Crema.
Yes.
Pre coffee
Yeah,
probably.
that's-
Or
yeah.
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 I have an
No.
Italian all-in-one, and it takes the beans, it grinds them, it presses them, and then injects the hot water at the perfect temperature,
Right on.
and it's wonderful.
How many beans? So what'd you stock up on? How many bags of beans do you have?
I don't even know. Probably enough for a while. And that's the other thing is everybody went to the store thinking, the end of the world is going to be April, and we have to stock up on everything because we cannot go out.
Right.
I think people have watched The Walking Dead, and they're just thinking, I need cans, and I don't want to wipe my butt with leaves.
Right.
Zombies are coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was making fun of me, getting squirrels in my backyard and learning how to cook them. But now, look who's laughing. In about a month and a half,
still
when the food
nasty.
start- yeah, it is.
That's
rash
still
I
nasty.
can't explain, but hey.
Yeah, I have
And
a
I'm
weird
going a
tick
little
now. But I don't
crazy.
know. Yeah,
Exactly. Anything else that you would, as we think of if you could kind of go back and say what you would do? No, what's weird, right? As you're thinking about that, what's weird is now that you look back in, hindsight's always 2020, but now that you look back, the signs were all there. We just didn't want to take them seriously for the most part.
Oh yeah, they were all there.
Yeah,
Jim, I was even scared when I came back from CES, and I told my family, I was like, if I get sick, it might be this Chinese virus thing. I said, because I was just in Las Vegas with about 200,000 Chinese people. How do I not have this thing?
Yeah.
Literally, how do I not have it? And I still could. I
You
still
might
could be a carrier.
have. Yeah. You might have.
And I was genuinely worried about that. And if you could just smack me at that time and say, maybe you should get some, cash out just a little bit of your savings out of stocks and put it in gold or, cash or something.
Just cash.
Pure cash.
Would have been a smart time anyways. The market had done so well. We were in a little bit of a bubble. So it would have been smart.
A good time.
No matter how you did it. Mike, anything else you would have done if you'd have known you would have done before they closed the borders?
No, not really. I mean, I'm pretty well set. I mean, I might have made one more run to the office. There's a few things I forgot. That I
There are
could
some
grab.
books that I forgot that I kind of need.
There's a
And
notebook.
and
And
they're like,
I was
"Don't
actually
come
in a
in."
meeting today. I'm like, I don't have my notes from that meeting. It's in a notebook in my desk. So
They're like, "Don't come in." I've been busier though since I've been home. We have been at a breakneck pace, and so I've been actually busier at home than I was ever at work. And so it's been it's kind of been crazy that way. Just getting it done. Dave, let me ask you this. We've been doing this a long time. You and me. Like we knew each
We have.
other through the last one. At
Right.
least. Do you think we'll see this happen again? You and me? Think we'll see something like this again in the future? Or is this, I mean, this is big. This is big. As much as we've tried to play it down, this is a big deal. I think we'll see.
I don't think that people understand really how big it is, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, I have someone in the household that works in medicine, and that's pretty much all I can say right now, because it's a mess. I mean, we've seen the tweets, and it depends on what side you land on. I mean, there's some crazy people out there, and then there's, legitimate news sites and the doctors and whatnot. The thing is we're all in our homes. We're not in these hospitals.
Yeah.
It's the last place we want to be, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not there, so you don't know what's going on the front lines. All you know is you see pictures of nurses saying, "We're here so you can stay home." We see that. That's all we see.
Yeah.
We don't see, the life and death decisions being made. And there are some, and it's happening every day. And yes, it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. And my only fear, Jim, is we're not ready to make the decision when it's okay, right?
Yeah.
And we all get right back out there, and we think that we got this rash healed, and then we all get back out there because we're just dying. I mean, we're literally dying. Little league games are canceled. Rugby games are canceled. Everything's canceled.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to get out there and be normal. And we're going to get out there and be normal. And I don't want it to reflare. That's my biggest worry.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest worry. If we
especially with something like the flu, who could dip down in summertime, right? Seem like it's okay.
Yeah.
And then come right back in the fall, wintertime.
Justin makes a good point. Been 100 years since the last serious pandemic, and that is true.
And it reflared.
It did.
You look at the history books, it reflared.
It bounced
10 times.
Yeah.
10 times.
Let me ask this. Let's not be so dark with it.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. When we come out on the backside of this, who wins? When we think about technology and gadgets and in that space, who do you think, if you can look ahead a year from now, who wins on this thing? Because there will be winners. Like, not everybody will lose. There's always, in these kinds of situations, there are always big winners. Who do you think will be the big winners? Who will emerge out of this thing just screaming?
What I hope, honestly, is that we start viewing the world differently, right? Because, man, this is not a political show, and this is the last thing you want to be, is political. And same with me. Never talk politics. I've never talked religion. It's against my podcast creed.
Yeah, we've never done that.
We need to be better people. We need to recognize our frontline workers. We need to recognize mental health. We need to pay our teachers. We need to educate better. We're behind on our education. I mean, we got good schools, but I think we take it for granted. I hope we come out knowing that our schools are great and they can be better. And those teachers that are just busting their butts right now, trying to corral all these children via a Zoom conference and emails. And I mean, I can't imagine what they're doing right now. Nurses, healthcare workers.
Yeah.
I hope we become a better nation. That's what I think. Yeah. It sounds pretty cliche,
No, I think that's
nice,
a good,
be kind.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. Anytime in the 3 or 4 crises that we've gone through, there's a period. We all come together, we all play nice for a while, and then it degrades, right?
Mhm.
It degrades back kind of in that. Mike, you're 30 years behind Dave and I.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What do you coming out of the backside? You have a different perspective. Dave and I are kind of coming in for a landing in a lot of ways. We're thinking about like, hey, 15 years away. Like, I mean, there's some things we're starting to think about that you're just ramping up your career. As you come out of this, what do you hope for? What do you think? Who wins in this? Or how do we win in this?
Society, I hope, wins. I mean, a lot of the things Dave said, I'll echo. I think there's just, what I've really liked about quarantine, honestly, is just how much family time I've had.
It's
Seeing
true.
my kids around. You know how many people I see walking in the neighborhood more than I ever did before?
Yeah.
And you know how friendly everyone has been when you go outside? No one's avoiding, like when I go for a walk, there's not been a single person who's just been looking down, avoiding eye contact. Everyone wants that human interaction. Everyone's waving. Hey, how's it going? Good seeing you. How's, asking questions. I hope we all get off social media. I hope social media dies in a fire. It's just like,
I'll delete it now if you
I would too. Like I think I really
Interesting.
hope that something changes about social media before my kids get old enough to have it. Because I just think it's awful. And it's been the cause of a lot of mental issues with our kids.
Yeah.
Right. And depression. And I mean, even with adults, I shouldn't just limit it to kids. I mean, adults get addicted to this stuff too, and then they start having mental issues because of this. So I hope we all just kind of come together, and hope it's kind of like a gut check of like what's kind of really important to everyone. I know it has been for me. I think it has been for a lot of people, especially in the workplace too. Workplaces, I think, have started to look at the people as people. In some companies, my company's great at already doing that, but there's a lot of companies, I think it's maybe the first time they've thought about their people as not just like, oh shoot, when something happens like this, we got to take care of our people. And it might be the first time they've always said it, but maybe not actually thought of it that way. So again, I just think it's a social kind of reset time. Like, hit the reset button. Let's kind of come back out of this and think about how things change. I don't think there's anyone who necessarily wins or loses in this whole thing. I hope we all kind of do things differently. I'd much rather go in for a fist bump than a handshake any day. So if that social norm changes, I'd be fine with that.
I hope not.
Bankruptcy attorneys are going to rake it in.
Great.
I got a few bankruptcy attorney friends who are, that's the hard part too. Here's the other thing. Here's what I've loved about this. There are a ton of businesses, certain industries that could totally capitalize on these events and just make a total killing by doing extra things. Now, there are companies who are going to make a killing just by the circumstances, by them not doing anything. But there are companies who could totally take advantage of people right now and take advantage of the situation. And I've seen the opposite. Like, people are being extra nice, right? People are being extra kind. People are saying, hey, let's we know they're weak right now. Let's not take advantage of that. Let's help them through it. And then in the end, maybe they'll come back to us as a customer because, like, man, instead of taking advantage of me, they really helped me out through a hard time. Like, I haven't been able to say that about a lot of times in history where it's like, usually it's like, oh man, they saw a nail and they hit it with a hammer, right? Like, oh, that's an opportunity to make some money. Let's go get it. And so that's been a nice little change to see as well.
Yeah.
Tough conversation.
No, I think it's a good one. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is a good as we think, because this too will pass. And I just kind of wonder, Mike, you mentioned, going outside, like there's people, like, I'm seeing this is like Pokemon Go, the craze, but for everybody, like everybody's outside, right?
Yeah.
We're dying to get outside. I made a joke the other night. Everybody was mad when the president said, we got to get everybody back to work, right? And everybody got mad. And I said, that was just a huge reverse psychology ploy, because he's like the dad and we're like, the kids. And he's like, could you guys stay inside? And all we want to do is go outside. So he was like, hey, you guys go outside. And they're like, I'm not going outside. Right? Huge reverse psychology on it. But
Good observation.
We are seeing, that's probably not true, but we are. That's what I would have done if I was a dad. If I was the president, fine, go outside. Fine, go congregate. In fact, congregate in gigantic crowds. All they had to do is put a tax on it, and nobody would have gone. So hey, you can congregate in crowds, but it's $500 a person. Mike, you're right. I've seen more, and I've been outside more. Like, I've walked every day down to the cemetery with my daughter. There's a Pokemon. She does Pokemon Go. And there's a huge, like, cemeteries are where these, where you can pick up these things. And so she goes down, I walk down with her. I have spent a ton of time with her just walking around, and
Yeah.
it's been great. Like,
And you know another who really wins? The environment. Like, have you guys seen all the cool news stories about like the fish in the clear
Oh.
water in like Italy, right, in the canals and everything like that, and clean air from no one driving? The environment's getting a nice little reset too.
Yeah. Do you think we could stick with that? Because it's great. Like when you look at that, you're like, oh yeah, this is kind of great. But do you think, like, I just think as soon as we start things back up again, everybody
Yeah.
just goes back
Well,
to,
yeah, it got a nice little reprieve, right? Got a nice
Yeah.
little break. There's no way.
you would love for people to look at it and go, you know, this place could be better if we were just a little more moderate,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't think we can. Do you think tech buying? Let's talk about gadgets. We all are addicted to these gadgets, and they are a part of the problem. Like it is not great for the environment for every Ring camera that's built. Those things are not right. All that stuff, all the gear we buy, all that stuff is terrible for the environment, right? It's tough to recycle. It's hard to create. It pollutes when they make it. Does this, so it's easy for us to say, oh yeah, the rivers are clean, but are we willing to buy less tech after this is over? Like, or maybe just be more responsible about, like, I cleaned up some of the garbage I have back here, the tech stuff I have, but man, I got a lot of tech garbage that I just don't
I
need.
do too. I do
You know?
too. And how do you convince someone? How do you convince me,
Right.
Dave, that Ring doorbell you just installed is the reason our rivers, are
Yeah.
junked up? You know,
Not ours, China's, but
right.
they're,
Yeah. It's a tough sell. It's a
Yeah.
tough sell.
Yeah.
We
The answer for
are-
me is no. I won't. I probably won't be
that's the
stopping.
thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've got some altruism sometimes in those areas where we're like, oh, wouldn't it be great? And then we have to look back at ourselves and go, actually, we're a bigger part of the problem than anything.
I think
You
there's
know?
a lot bigger issues than the tech buying, and there's a lot
Yeah.
more to that too. You stop buying the tech, and people are out of jobs, right? So it's like trading one
Mhm.
thing for another, right? There's a lot of industries that shut down if that goes down. So
Yeah. Well, gosh, we're right in the middle of this. It's pretty nuts right now. If you're listening to this 2 years from now, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, I hope we made it. I hope we did okay, and I hope we make it past all of this, and I hope it makes us better. I think it will in the short term. The question is, I've seen, I don't know, 4 of these cycles, and we get 3 or 4 years in, and then it's Guantanamo, and so you just kind of go, yikes. So I hope we can be better for it. Dave, talk a little bit. Let's shift gears a little bit. Talk a little bit about reset, because there may be some folks who aren't listening. They've come over here. They've been listening to me for a while, and they haven't made it back their way to reset. What have you learned by going solo, and what's that done for you? You spent a lot of time working on trying to get your Wi-Fi stuff set up, trying to get your cameras set up, trying to get the pool house set up, but what have you learned through reset?
I talk way too much about Wi-Fi, and I don't know why I can never be content. Why can't I be content? I was just thinking today because I have a Ubiquity network. I have access points all over. I have a problem in the pool house. I think storing the pool chemicals and the chlorine is causing the contacts in the switches to corrode at a faster rate. And I didn't know this until I saw an unprotected pair of like wire cutters sitting on the bench when I went out there, because it's been pretty much locked up, and they're completely rusted. It's completely rusted. And I started having an access point problems, and a switch was starting to give me issues. And I'm like, I pull my flashlight out and I look at the actual pins of the Ethernet switch, and they're corroded. So there's something chemically going on with the pool chemicals gassing off and causing the corrosion. It's a chlorine thing. It's a bleach thing, right? And I'm not a chemist, so I don't know what the heck's going on, but I can surmise, that's probably what's doing it. So I may keep my pool shocks somewhere different. I may have to keep the chlorine somewhere, maybe in the garage, because it's in a very enclosed space. The problem is I have like a $600 Yamaha amplifier in there that runs the speakers, and I'm really worried. I just took 2 or 3 years off of the life of that thing, and I will probably have to pull it out, and maybe do a chemical bath with it and just see what's going on, take the cover off. But reset. There you go. Justin Simmons says anema cabinet. So I need to just cabinet this stuff up and it'll be okay.
Bluetooth speakers. That's your answer. Just
right.
Carry those suckers out there.
But we invoke she who shall not be named, and we ask her to play a playlist, and it's the greatest thing in the world.
No, right on.
I love going outside, and this is something that I think if we can get a couple of 70-degree days, everything's going to be fine. The virus is not going to go away, but at least I can be outside cleaning my pool, and I can throw out some playlists, and I can feel normal. I think if we feel normal, we might, it'll help our psyche quite a bit. But reset, going back to your question, it's a flighty podcast. It really is. It is whatever is on the top of my head. It's whatever is tech at the moment, right? So I came back from CES. I have all this audio sitting on an SD card, and I haven't played a single soundbite yet. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to. What I wanted to do is I listened to all these podcasts, and people drop all these names and locations and things. And I was like, what if we don't know what that is? What if someone doesn't know what the Sands is? What if someone doesn't know that I can't walk from the Sands to the Las Vegas Convention Center? Well, what's the Las Vegas Convention Center? Where's that? I don't know. I did a show about where stuff is in Vegas and how to get there and what it's like being there at CES. So it was weird. It was a weird show. I don't know if anyone even listened to it.
Well, I just, I think it gives you the ability, and, I did tell you years ago, like, hey, life's going to get busy for you, as we kind of wrapped up Home Server Show and said, yeah, life's going to get busy for you. And that's just the phase you're in. I do appreciate the fact you still try. Yeah. I think a lot of folks just give up and they're like, I can't do this. And even as sporadic as it is at times, I still look forward to listening to it. Like it's fun to, it's fun to do this again with you since we have such a long history
right together. And I'll be honest with you, I'm dangerously close to pulling the plug. But there's something about sitting in your chair, starting your Audacity and recording what you feel like is a good podcast. I mean, I'm not talking Pulitzer Prize winning journalism here. I'm talking about just you feeling good about what you've said, and you nailed your intro, you nailed your outro, you hear your own jingle, your music, you lay it out, you hit save, it goes, you put your artwork in, your show notes went easy, and you click publish, and you're just like, you know what? I'm proud of what I just did. I don't care. 3 people may listen, but I enjoyed the process of what I just did. And I hope someone enjoys it. And every once in a while, you'll get that email. Sometimes you guys know what it is. You get emails about, hey, instead of doing that, what you did, you should have looked at this. Okay. Maybe next show. And sometimes someone will tell you, just this off the cuff email. Hey, Dave, I listened to this show that you did like 6 months ago. And you know what? I went out and I tried that thing, and it has literally changed our lives. This one little thing that you mentioned. And it's something that you just mentioned off the cuff, like, humidifier or something, something weird. And someone comes back and just genuinely says, that made a difference. Yeah. Me listening to that made a difference. And then you're just like, oh, I'm going to send him a sticker, That's great. Those little things right there is kind of what keeps you going.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I don't know why, but they still go out to Patreon and help you pay the bills. because
Right.
the listeners don't realize that you own a web server. Like myself, I have to have a beefy server, a VPS server to run those forums.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you pay for hosting. So you pay for that hosting. You also pay for the bandwidth to serve the show, right? And like when I was on WordPress, I had to pay for backup software and all this other software. And, you're paying for all these things. They don't realize that before you know it, you're at, at least $100 a month is going out the door just to keep it alive, right? You stop paying that, the back episodes go away. So
Yeah.
the Patreon thing helps so much. And I never feel like I do enough for them. Yet you tell them you appreciate them. And I hear it on other podcasts too. Like, man, we so appreciate our patrons. And like, yeah, whatever. They don't realize that is the golden truth. Like, it's the best thing ever, because the advertising revenue is not where it used to be.
Right.
It doesn't pay the bills. It definitely does not send me to CES. I'm just a small time guy. I'm not The Verge, So
Yeah.
Reset it's different.
Yeah.
It's much different than anything I've ever done.
I like the struggle. Like, I like listening to you work through this time in your life. Like, it's just is for me, it's super easy for me to do this. I've still continued, we're in our 10th year here and continue to do what we're doing. But I've just really enjoyed listening to your life through it and hearing about the things the kids, you tell stories, you don't mention the kids' names, but I know who you're talking about. And it's just a ton of fun. Mike, you ever look back at your time and miss it?
Yeah, I do. I really, because like my problem is when I got rid of open mic night, I've just been this transient, can't decide what medium he wants to use, but has a creative niche that he needs to fill, right? I make YouTube videos and then I stop for a while. I stream on Twitch and then I stop for a while. And then I go back to, I want to make YouTube videos. And then Hannah and I start a podcast and we relaunch it 3 times and can never like stick with it, because I just have to admit to myself, my life, I'm not in a good point in my life right now with the kids the age they are, my career, my wife's career, to be doing something like that. So I've had to really come to terms with just being, Dave, kind of like you, where I just can admit, like, I don't know, you said like, it's just kind of up in the air right now. And there's some days where I don't want to. So like, for me, I've just found that Twitch is my way. Hop on, play a game every once in a while and stream it out there. Who cares if it's 0 viewers? Because I'm just itching that creative side that I need to do every once in a while. And that's all I need to do. And really me setting up OBS Studio and getting everything to work was 90% of the fun for me. The streaming part, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. But it was the setting it up, getting everything to work, just getting that out there. But Jim, you're so right that you do enjoy that story of like the struggle. Because if you think back, you had a blast when I was in law school. Because when we started podcasting, I think I was halfway through law school, or maybe I was starting law school. I can't remember how long ago this was.
You were a good ways through it.
Was I a good ways through it?
I think you were. I think second or maybe 1 year to go.
Probably 2 years to go.
Okay.
Because I think we started before I was married.
You never took it very seriously. So I was always surprised. I was like, can you podcast tonight? You're in law school. I always thought law school was the end of people's lives. Like, well, you emerge. And I thought, that's what I thought.
And that's a personality trait that I need to get rid of, because because I have given people, so this has happened with law school. This has happened with my work. I'm such a, I don't want to talk about how hard things are. I don't like, I want everything, I'm kind of like, no, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
Where like the work I do is really hard. Like law school, extremely hard. Studying for the bar exam, extremely hard, right? Like work, it just came up because my friend actually got a job, at the firm I'm at. And I'm always told like, oh yeah, my job's great. So awesome. Like fantastic. And she's like, I thought you did like nothing all day. Like, I'm like, well, I mean, I just naturally make it sound the way, but people have said that to me. Like, you need to start being more honest about like how things are. But you're right. Like law school, it was one of those, it was hard, right?
You're a smart kid and you did really, really well for yourself. And you handled law school just great. I just had this impression, like medical school, that I thought once you got you never came out. Like, and so the fact that it asked you to podcast and you're like, oh yeah, I'll be there.
There was that one night I think I had a paper due and you like, oh, what, don't you have a paper? I'm like, yeah. When's that due? Tomorrow morning.
I'll
have you started? No. I'll do it tonight. It is tonight, Mike. Like tonight, like we're wrapping up the podcast at 9:30. You're just going to start on that now?
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed the human element of this. This has been maybe one of the things that we've done differently on Home Gadget Geeks that maybe is different from all the other tech podcasts that are doing reviews and, they're trying to be super pro. And Dave, you kind of taught me this early on, is that when you make it about the listener, like when you make it about the lives of the listener, our meetups were so great for this. Where ours, listen, your meetups, they were yours. I just got to be a part of it. We really got to kind of live together, right? We got to grow together. We got to kind of build things together and share this community. And every once in a while I get tempted to get back into that whole review tech, thing. And I'm like, no, that's just not what Home Gadget Geeks is. We're a community, right? We're a community based on a bigger community that involves a lot of the things that we did on Home Server Show, that involves Mike, what an audience you had over there at Open Mic Night, right? The communities that have come and stayed. Dave, I can't tell you how many emails I get from people who say, I've listened to you since Home Server Show. Like, many of those have made their way back. Your kids
And
must
I love
be
the new
streaming
ones,
movies, Dave, because your bandwidth's gone.
Oh yeah, his
really
bandwidth did go.
Yeah, you've gotten really blurry on us, Dave. It's not a big deal. The kids are probably streaming. No worries.
But what was I going to say to what you just said?
Human element show.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look at our chat room tonight. The chat room tonight right now is more active. It's been the most active tonight that it has like in weeks past, and we're not talking about tech tonight.
Yeah.
Right. Like as much. We brought a little tech in that, but our community, I love the community. They're here to hang out, chat with all of us, right? To be a little fun community. That's what I've enjoyed too. About you guys both you're really good at building community. You guys, it's probably your personality. It's the way you respond to people, treat people right, respond to emails. It's the way you do your shows. But I have so much fun. Like Jim, if I had to stop the podcasting on this show for some reason, kids get old enough, I'm doing whatever. Like, I hope you don't kick me out of the Discord, because I love our Discord community. They're so much fun. They get in there and they talk all day. We're talking about distributed computing and we're having so much fun. Yeah. You guys both are really, really good at that. It's a skill. It's an art that's not easy to master. And I think a lot of content creators, they're really good content creators, but probably they're not the best at building a community. But the community is really what helps drive that show along. And really, Jim, I mean, it's what keeps you podcasting.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. It's what keeps you going.
Dave, you want to add anything to
that? No, very well said.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's Dave, fun to have you back and to have these conversations. Interesting times, interesting places, interesting things happening. One of the things I have noticed about the podcast community, whatever that is during these times, there is a renewed interest in community. And, I've noticed just how things have picked up in Discord. I'm sure, Dave, you've probably seen a little uptick in the Reset forums of activity. Is it getting busier, a little bit busier than it was before?
Seems like there's a lot more questions coming in. Yeah. It seems to almost be the Schoondoggy Tech Support Forum. That's what kind of it feels like on these HP servers. But
yeah. Well, I think we're dragging a little bit behind with you. But Dave, thanks for taking the time tonight. It's always good to hang out with you on a podcast. Always good to be back. Tonight in the pre-show was so super funny. You asked me the question, like, you still have those janky lights that I gave you, right? And at Christmas time, there's a post out there. They've held up really, really well. Cowboy Studios, they're $75. I remember that Christmas, and I got this package, and I was like, Dave sent me a Christmas gift. So I open up, it's lights, and I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, you hated it, and I just didn't realize how bad it was until I put them up, and then I'm like, oh my God. This is unbelievable. Like, and I never even would have thought to do that. That's just I enjoyed showing
lighting
up
is everything. Right.
Yeah, no, right on. And you taught me how to do that. And that, that's been I think that's what these communities, or this community, has been about, is helping people out get stuff done. Right.
Right.
So thanks for teaching me
Yep.
that. I mean, that's been,
All right.
you kind of taught me that. So I appreciate it. We, a couple reminders on our way out here. One, we did a Cyber Frontiers on Monday. So if you haven't checked that out yet, Christian talks about this whole coronavirus from a data perspective. So if you're really, I mean, if you just haven't heard enough about it, you can catch Cyber Frontiers 61. It's out at theaverageguy.tv/CF061. If you want to go out to it, it's available for you right now. Subscribe to Cyber Frontiers while you're there. We're kind of more on the reset model over there on Cyber Frontiers every 3, 4, 5 weeks. Kind of just depends when we feel like it, and I can get Christian's time. And so give Cyber Frontiers. Speaking of Cyber Frontiers, appreciate Maple Grove Partners and their sponsorship that they do here. Of course, paying for all our bandwidth, paying for all our hosting and media hosting. If you are looking for any kind of hosting, any kind, Christian can do just about anything. Check out maplegrovepartners.com. Really affordable plans. Sites cost as little as $10 a month. That's pretty inexpensive for hosting. So if you're thinking about doing something, cash is tight because it's going to be for the next year or so or whatever it turns out to be, maplegrovepartners.com. And we appreciate Christian and his work on doing that. Big congratulations to him. He just closed on his first house. So he is out and moved in. Yeah. So things are going good. Things are going well for him. Mike mentioned the Discord. If you want to join us on the Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord is the way to do that. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. You can find me on Twitter @Collison, the guy on the other side of me over there @Wieger Tech. Sorry, my voice is going. So let's just end this thing. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We'll do a little bit of post show. If you come out live, we always appreciate it when you're here. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.